Hey guys, welcome back to Funny Blunt Truth. We're on episode 34. This is Dave. Don's on a podcast, and we have Jocelyn back on the show, and we have a juicy, fun topic. Jocelyn, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hey everybody.
We're very happy to have her back. Jocelyn is awesome and fun. So,
thank you.
The topic of discussion for this one it's going to be deep, but we're going to have some fun stuff mixed in. Basically, the topic is, what is it going to take to fix the problems of the world? Like, if you can add one thing.
Trump 2016. Vote Trump.
Yeah, that's gonna that's gonna fix the problems.
Okay.
If you can add something, remove something, what is it that's gonna basically fix things? So, who wants to answer that one first? You're going to pick one thing.
That's a toughie.
Okay.
Let's go with the craziest person. Don, go ahead.
I heard spaghetti does a lot of good for people. But no, I mean, it's kind of a broad question, really. About, it was basically like, what can we do to fix all this shit going on? And I mean, you're talking about truncating a very complex, situation. For me, the biggest thing is we need to get into a different train of thought than what we're currently in. And that encompasses a lot of stuff that includes what addiction really is, how we use our resources, and how we phrase things in our life, and, how we actually move forward progressively and correctly, not just like false progressively, like you hear a lot of, on the news and politicians. So to me, it's a big thing about training our ideas to be different, the way we think, instead of just saying.
So change in simple
terms. Right. But not just change, but change the way we think, it's like when somebody tells me, there was this guy who beat up a kid to steal his video game because he needed money. And, I have friends that are like, well, that guy needs to be in jail. That lazy, low life guy needs to be in jail. He hurt that poor kid. And, for me, that's one of those things is like, yeah, but that person also bitches about paying less taxes or wanting to pay less taxes. And yet you want to jail somebody who just, stole a $60 video game at the cost of $80,000 a year to the taxpayers. So things like that is what I'm talking about, being a bit more open. A lot of people, I think, are very myopic in their viewpoint. So if you can pick, if you can pick one thing, then your one thing would be, spaghetti. Sorry.
Having like an open mind, or like, how would you even word that?
I think maybe re-educating the way we think, and not just like, reforming the education.
You're just like
system.
fucking up the format right now, but.
Dude, welcome to Funny
Damn
Blunt
it,
Truth,
pick one thing. All right, I got you. But go ahead, not to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's all. It's just a train of thought. We just need to think differently. I think we get ourselves into this really one way or the other, this red or blue ideology and this way of thinking. And especially here in the States, and
so
even across.
open-mindedness, is that a word? Mindedness?
Kind of, but not so open your brain falls out. I mean, like studied open mind. Like I should say the introduction of the scientific method into the regular world would actually be maybe a better concise statement. So the application of the scientific method in education and training in government, all that stuff would actually probably benefit us the most.
Okay. Interesting.
There.
Interesting.
All right, go fix the world. I'll see you guys later.
Jocelyn, you want to take a crack? Like, if you can pick one thing that will make the most impact, maybe not fix it overnight, but what do you see as the biggest problem with the world with all this shit going on?
Okay. And this, I think, is just on the heels of the presidential debate. I really think that we need more educated activism. Okay. So many people are happy to like jump on their soapbox and like complain and judge, etc., but not actually do something or actually fully know what they're even talking about. Mm-hmm. So I think that's super important. I don't think people realize collectively how much change we can really make and how much difference as individuals and as groups that we can really make. People just choose to feel victimized, I think, in a lot of cases. So I say educate yourself and then go do something about it.
So in a nutshell, like just education, knowledge.
Yeah, but without applying it, education is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could read all day and know all this stuff, but if I just sit and continue reading and do nothing with it, it doesn't accomplish anything.
That's valid.
Well, luckily we have a podcast, so we're doing it.
I mean,
we're
changing the world one episode at a time.
Okay.
Is it for the better or worse? You tell me.
I don't know. Sometimes
that
I think the worst.
To be seen. But so, I mean, I could also list like 10 other things that I think are important though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really tough to have just one thing.
Well, there's a million things wrong.
Like once upon a time, and maybe on some level it was some ignorance, like I was just like, if everybody took care of themselves, like the world would be alright. You know? But naturally some people like really just aren't capable of that. And, you know, and I think for me, being a mom, things start at home, like love and whatnot starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, I think love's super important too.
Well, that's another thing too, is that, I believe more over nurture, versus nature. You know, so I think that, you know, we need to get a lot of better parenting going on. Because, you know, if a kid is raised in a really negative environment, that's what they're going to go to and that's what they're going to gravitate around. So, I know that's kind of one of those like out there can't really be quantified type things, but I mean, there has been numerous studies that show, that people with genetic predispositions towards, you know, violent behavior, aberrant behavior, addiction, do not partake in that if they have a loving and caring environment, that the environment kind of shapes the person. So cheers to that.
I mean, I think statistically, like you're right, but, you always have that one-off, like, individual, you know, like how many, I mean, I know you've come across it in your life where you know someone that comes from like a perfect family and, you know, upper middle class family, nice house, great parents and everything, and they just turn out to be like some crackhead, like, you know, for no rhyme or reason, just robbing people and, you know, committing crimes. And it's like, dude, you come from a good family. What happened to you? Like, so.
Right. And I think it goes both ways as far as that goes. Like someone can come out of a really shady situation and be an amazing person, make incredible contributions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's not like a definite one way or the other. It's just statistical analysis.
I don't think that's the norm though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Don was a human trafficker. just it's a bad joke. Just messing.
Oh Lord.
But, everybody's got to have a hobby. Everybody's got to have a hobby.
Everybody's got to do something.
Whether it's spaghetti or, you know, whatever.
What is
human
it
trafficking.
In spaghetti tonight?
I don't know, man. It's funny because I don't really even like spaghetti.
The hell's wrong with you spaghetti tonight? If I can answer the question, I mean, like Jocelyn said and Don touched on, earlier, I mean, there's so many things. You can say money is like the root of like all our problems. You can say religion, differences in beliefs. I'll pick one. I'm just going to keep it simple and I'm just going to say, I'm going to keep it real simple. Just tolerance. If I can pick like one thing. And I said it like off air, I dropped that word to, Jocelyn and Don off air. I just feel like if we had more tolerance in the world, I feel like it would fix a lot of shit, man. You know, like racism is not just a tolerance thing, but, I think a lot of our problems have to do with that, man. People just have to have like patience and tolerance for one another. And, you know, the definition of tolerance, I got it right in front of me. The ability or willingness to tolerate something, in particular, the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with. And you can,
I don't agree with that, man. I don't agree with that. And you should shut up.
You could bleed that into religion also, you know, so,
well,
people could, you know, you could be Buddhist, I could be Christian. We don't have to hate each other. You could be Muslim, I could be Christian. We don't have to kill each other, you know. So that's my answer. It's very simple, but there's so much shit wrong with the world that nothing short of a zombie apocalypse is going to fix, what's going on. We need like a complete reset, Government's corrupted. This whole money system, classes, it's all screwed up.
That would be a great thing. I would like to see. I mean, if anybody has some time, it's too much to get into. But if anybody wants to look into an alternative system, and I've mentioned this before, as a natural law, resource-based, economic system. Mm-hmm. And, I do think that would be a solid solution to the problems. It's not perfect, but it's damn sure better than we have now.
How do you feel about religion being removed from like classrooms? Like,
Well, I mean, if you're talking public classrooms, there should be a separation of church and state, so there shouldn't be anything in there. Not only that, too, it doesn't really make much sense when I hear people go, oh, there was a guy who I unfriended on Facebook, or actually he unfriended me, because he posted something that said, right after a school shooting, if God wasn't taken out, I would have protected you, or something like that, out of schools. The only problem is that America is inherently a melting pot. Okay. That's what we take pride in, right? Give me you're weak, you're tired, you're poor. And so to have just one religion in a school, in a public school, being taught, like, oh, we should all say prayer. Okay. Well, how does the Hindu who has 47 gods feel about that? Oh, well, their religion isn't legitimate because this is a Christian nation. Things like that, like you're automatically not tolerating other people when you do that. So, I mean, you can't have, in a public forum, you can't have just one thing taught to everybody because that's not everybody's belief.
I mean, well, here's the thing. When you, I know Jocelyn probably wants to get a word in, but when you're young, of course you're going to be like influenced and stuff. And like this country was probably based on, Christianity, like, so God was like, in schools like back in the day, but it's not really about, being like Christian per se. It's about like the message. So like I think what they mean is, it's the message of like being a good person and doing unto others. That's what I think they mean. Like if God was like around, not necessarily like, it being just like a Christian God thing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So you'd be okay with it being in school then, right?
Religion in school? I don't think it'll hurt. Like religion taught properly, like, I don't think it hurts anything.
Whose religion would be taught in school though?
Well, that's an interesting question. But if you're, so if you're in the Middle East, what?
If we're gonna do that, if we're, just to get on that, if we're gonna do that, I want the school of the flying spaghetti monster. I'm just saying. But continue on.
I mean, the thing is, like, if you live in America, that's, it is what it is here. Like, you know what I mean? Christianity is probably the number one practiced religion. I may be mistaken, but, I think, that's what the country was like, founded on. So, I mean, if you're in the Middle East, what do you think is going to be practiced over there for the most part? So, and you can, in your personal life, when you're an adult, you can worship whoever you want, whatever God you want. That's the beauty of this country also. I don't really see it such a big deal that there's a, Christian God beliefs like taught in school, because when kids grow up, they're going to choose their own path anyway. They become adults with their own brain and they're going to make their own decisions anyway. And what you could argue that they're like influenced from an early age and that's imprinted in their brain. But
well, there's no argument there. Indoctrination is hardcore. I mean, that's hardwiring, that's taken from a young age.
Here's the thing with me too. Like, if I had to pick one, I would say I'm Christian. Like, if I had to pick one.
Right.
I believe in God in general. So, I don't really have a big issue with, if I had kids in school and they were being taught Christian ways, it doesn't really bother me. Like,
let me just run this by you because I do want to hear Jocelyn's thing, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I do want to hear what Jocelyn has to say, but what if you went to school and let's say the majority of Americans ended up becoming, let's say in 10 years, the majority of Americans were Muslim? Would you be okay then if they said, well, that's the majority now, we're going to go ahead and have Muslim teachings in your kid's school, and that's going to be the dominant force.
Jocelyn could get a word in right now, but I'll just jump in and say I wouldn't care. As long as
Really?
I would not care. I would not care because to my understanding, being Muslim, it's a peaceful religion if taught properly. As long as the message is out there not to hurt people and to love one another, I don't give a shit what religion is taught. That's my opinion. And when my kids grow up, they're going to pick their path anyway. So what do you think, Jocelyn?
Jocelyn, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm all for religion. I don't know where it fits in a public school setting as far as it being taught. I do think it would be great to, I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for here. Sorry. It would be great to introduce children to multiple religions so that there is, I'll use your word, Dave, more tolerance to what other people are worshiping and how they're worshiping. There's more of an understanding. I think that would be beneficial, but I don't know as though religion in and of itself needs to actually be taught in school.
You think?
Well, I would actually jump on that. I would jump on what Jocelyn's saying. You know, if you're going to teach kids, teach it like you would like a class unto itself, like world religion class. Exactly. And you go in there and then you say, these people believe in blue avatars that dance around. These people believe that praying to the crops will get you a bigger yield, you know, and so on and so forth. But not necessarily as.
Where does it stop though?
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it would just be like anything else, right? I mean, like if you were going to learn science never really stops. When you're learning it in school, it's, you know, chemicals, it's physics, it's reactionary.
But science has
things like
Go ahead.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you learn sections of science, right? So I think that's what Jocelyn's leaning towards. And I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but, you know, 1 week would be, Jainism, which is one of the largest religions in the world that Americans don't know about out in India. The next one would be, you know, the Chinese belief or mythology or, you know, something, at least I think that's what you're going for.
Yeah, exactly. Take like the most popular religions of the world or of our country, however you want to do it. And, you know,
teach them unbiasedly.
Go through, you know, what a day might look like for some people or.
Okay.
You know.
That's interesting. I mean, the only issue I see is, you know, let's say, you know, like with this country, like democracy, giving everybody a fair shot and a, you know, a fair voice to be heard. It's almost like, my question was kind of like, where does it end though? Like, how do they choose what religions to teach? And there's always going to be like an outcry about it. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Cause if you stick with one, people are crying like, well, I'm Muslim and, you know, I'm Buddhist. How come we're not teaching that in school? But, you know, if you go down that route and start teaching, let's say 10 religions, you still have like 500 more. So what makes you choose those 10?
I think the problem is miscommunication between myself, Jocelyn, and you. I think what we're saying is to teach it like you would any other subject, not to teach the belief system like you were thinking. Not saying, you know, you should believe in any one of these religions, but you take it as a tertiary thing. Like you have it like it would be in a textbook, not the teachings of God or the teachings of Christ or Muhammad or Vishnu. You don't do that. You just cover it and say, you know, these people geographically in this area believe in this God. These people geographically believe in multi-gods. And what's the difference there? And, you know, so you're not teaching the belief system.
But it is.
You're just, like you're educating the kids.
Well, if you have to break down a religion, you are teaching them and you're influencing them on some level.
You're teaching them what it's about, but you're not telling them they have to follow those beliefs. It's just like, okay, so we'll take the heat off the issue. Kids learning about 8,000 different things they could be when they grow up. It's not saying they have to be one particular thing, but you're trying to show them different things that are out there.
Okay, but what about influence though? Like, do you think that there'll be an issue where someone will say, you know, you're teaching Buddhism in school and you're not telling kids to practice Buddhism, but you're still teaching them about it and it's planting a seed in their head and some people may not like that, right?
I mean,
but some people don't like anything. There's someone who always doesn't like
something. Well, that's my point. I mean, you're kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you go that route, there's still going to be people upset about it. You know, if you stick with
I think one is definitely more socially acceptable. Sorry, Jocelyn, I didn't mean to jump on you there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, but Dave, you're comfortable with one religion being taught, but not just like an overview of what other religions are?
Well, I didn't say that I was uncomfortable with it. I was just bringing. No, I didn't say I was uncomfortable with it. I wasn't against the idea. I was just bringing up like the possible issues, you know, that could arise because people out there would be like, you know, why believe in this plastic spoon? Why is that not taught? You know, there's so many religions out there. It's freaking crazy. So I guess what they did now is probably the best thing to do, just not include religion at all in class. But some people will argue, you know, I don't think it's a bad idea, again, as long as it's, if you're gonna teach kids about a religion, let it be one that promotes love. Like, I don't have any issue. I don't give a crap what they teach, as long as it's something that doesn't promote hate and violence, you know? So.
Right. I'm all for religions not being in school.
Yeah.
However, if there is a student, say, for example, who wants to say a prayer over a meal or something like that to him or herself, I don't see an issue with that. And I think there have been challenges as far as that goes in our not so distant past.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you know,
how do you feel?
Take one's beliefs away from them, but they shouldn't be pushed upon other people.
Yeah, the one good, I know you wanted to say something, Don, but the one thing I could also think of, that's good about like religion taught in school, if it's, a good, like a positive, you know, religion that promotes love and everything, is that, you know, we brought up the parenting thing. So it's almost a way to like mass parent kids. Like, let's say they have like a shitty home and they don't have any kind of good influence whatsoever, like on how to be a good human being. And not saying that you have to believe in God to be a good human being or practice a religion, because there's awesome humans out there that are atheists.
Well, thank you, Dave.
But, you know, if kids don't have that kind of upbringing in that nurturing environment and they're getting a positive message from like a good loving religion, I think it's kind of a good thing, you know, whether it be Christianity or not. But it's just sticky, man. It's such a.
So let me ask you about how you feel. I read an article about a company that allows Muslims to take time during work, you know, separate from their normal lunchtime and breaks, to go pray. I think it was like 4 or 5 times a day on the clock during work. They're allowed to go pray, because that's what their religion calls for. How do you guys feel about that? Because for me, it's kind of like one of those things like, well, what if I say I believe in something and I want 6 breaks a day? It's not fair to everybody else, but I don't, you know, how do you guys feel?
You want to go first, Jocelyn?
I do. Thank you. I think there are religious protections in our country. I mean, I personally have exercised not my right to go pray 6 times a day, but I've taken holy days and taken them off for left to go to mass and come back to work. And I feel that's my right, and we're actually protected. The government protects that.
No, and that's fine, but for hourly
and I think it's fair enough too, because to people who are faithful, I mean, oftentimes that comes first and foremost as part of who they are. And I don't think you can take that from people.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's about taking it. The issue that I just hold is that you have other people who are continuing to work, you know, hourly employees who are still doing their jobs while others aren't. So it's not about not allowing them to do it. It's about doing it on their own time versus company time. For me, that was at least my issue.
I don't think it should be done. I don't think you should be paid for it. I mean, a lot of people may disagree with that. I feel like if you're, and some people will say the religion I practice is not a choice. Like, it's not something that's a choice for them. They just, like Jocelyn said, it's just a part of their being. But the way companies will probably view it, and I think what makes sense is like, you know, you're an individual, you made a choice to be Christian or Muslim, whatever it is, and it's a privatized company. It's not the government. I feel like a company should be able to do whatever they want in that regard and not pay you for something that's a personal choice. So I feel like, you know, if I'm a manager and I got some, if I know, and this is going to sound kind of messed up, and I'm not trying to be like disrespectful, but let's say it's like, let's say Muslims have to take a certain amount of time out of a day to pray to the east or whatever. I don't know all the details, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I apologize if I'm ignorant. But, you know, and this sounds messed up. I mean, it could be a thing where like you choose not to hire people that are Muslim because you're not going to view them as productive. And I think that if you own a business, that is your right also. You know, it's kind of messed up, but I feel like it's your right. If you do hire, a group of people that practice a certain religion and have to take a certain amount of breaks every day to pray, if you're cool with that, fine. I mean, but I don't think they should be paid while other people are working, you know what I mean? And, cause it's not a break, it's a prayer, but it's still their choice to follow that religion. And this is like hairy. Yeah. Like I understand it's hairy and I'm not trying to offend people.
The thing to give more credence, I don't know if it's going to give more credence to your argument really, but, there is a religious movement called the Flying Spaghetti Monster or the religion of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. And I'm not joking, and maybe that's why I've been mentioning spaghetti so much, because I knew we were going to get into this, but if you look it up, it's actually become huge. They forced, and it's kind of based on that principle that you were talking about, Dave, and the fact that you can just kind of claim it, and if you claim it enough, it forces it to make it true into something when people be like, oh, that's not a real religion, although, you know, that definition can be really anything you want it to be. But if you look it up, they forced it in Germany to become law. So now, as part of the religion, when you get your picture taken, you have to wear a colander on your head. So at the DMV, they weren't allowing people to wear colanders on your head. And I'm not even joking. You should Google this. And they got it passed, so they can do it now because they said it was discrimination against their beliefs. But you guys should really actually look it up. If you look up FSM or Flying Spaghetti Monster, it's like if you disobey his orders, he'll cover you in his noodly appendages and marinara sauce and something. It's actually pretty hilarious.
You know,
but that's the thing though. So do you go into sorry, not to get sidetracked there, but do you go into your place of business and say, well, now I'm part of legitimately the Flying Spaghetti Monster group and you have to allow me, 2 hours a day on the clock to cook spaghetti?
You see, that's where, and Jocelyn probably has something to say. I'm not going to go on a big rant, but, that's where it gets like tricky too, because if you're running a business and is your company, isn't it your right to like, allow employees what to do? Like, basically it's your right to manage payroll. So like, are you a bad guy because you don't allow, X amount of workers to, use company time to do this and that? You know what I mean? Does that make you like a bad guy? And in reverse, like, you have a lot of choices of jobs out there. So like if your religion doesn't jive with this particular job, guess what? Just don't work there,
That's a fair point.
You could work somewhere else that'll work for you and whatever you believe.
I don't really know what to say to all this. This is why I struggle with the 9 to 5. I don't want somebody telling me what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
That's just my personality. That's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're on the same page.
I say this as I'm job searching. I'm not the best employee because nobody's going to tell me, like, I can't do something.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say, see you later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And not out of ignorance, but if that's, what's most important to me, then I shouldn't be working someplace that tells me I can't. I don't think I was ever paid, though, for my time not spent at work. Like, maybe I took my PTO time to do it, but, like, I wasn't just like, oh, yeah, like, paid like I was there.
Yeah. No, I have a similar mindset. I feel like I'm a rebel at heart. And I have a problem with authority. Like, I don't really have a huge problem with authority, but inside I kind of do. Like, I don't like people telling me what to do. Like,
and this is why.
I'm the boss in my world.
Yeah. This is why I'm an NLRBE advocate, the resource-based economy, because I don't think humans are meant to work menial jobs where it's repetitive day in and day out, and they're kind of forced through this kind of debt slavery to go back again and again. I have the feeling that we should be free to explore and do whatever we want without limitation. And that doesn't mean whatever you want, like go out and just like start killing panda bears. You know, but I just mean free from jobs. But
yeah, well, I mean,
a whole nother episode.
Yeah, that is a whole nother episode. I mean, because part of that, you know, you talk about like menial, like lower level jobs. Somebody has to do them, and let's just be real. I'm just gonna be.
That's actually not necessarily true, man. If we automated right now, we could automate 70% of all jobs in the world.
So that's factual. Right now, we're at the point with technology that it's completely feasible. That every company can afford automation and upgrades like that.
Well, it's zero marginal return. So, I mean, you know, there is some initial output, cost, some overhead in order to make things automated. But once you do, after that initial turnout, it costs you nothing to keep producing. I mean, look, even Wall Street is automated right now. Cars are going automated. Soon you won't see any more taxi drivers with people inside. Uber has the first automated taxi service already out. You know, they have automated Mercedes-Benz trucks out in Germany.
So how are
and
people
Japan.
getting paid? How are people making a living?
Well, that's where it comes in. So that's where some of the research would be on there, because a resource-based economy actually advocates the neutralization of the monetary system. But that's a tough concept for a lot of people to swallow. You really have to do a lot more research, because automatically when that gets said, people are like, socialism! Or, you know, like some other knee-jerk reaction, which is just not the case. But that's like, oh man, I wish I could get into it, but that's a long talk.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say was, and Jocelyn, not to go on a rant, I feel like I'm cutting you off when you're gonna say something, and I don't mean to do that. But what I was gonna say real quick was, somebody has to do these jobs, you know, and not to be mean, not everybody is meant to be like an engineer. You know what I mean? You have some people that are taller, shorter, smarter, not as smart. Like, and it sounds screwed up, but that's just the truth, you know? And some people are perfectly happy chopping wood and, go ahead.
No, can I just give you an equation?
Wait, let Jocelyn talk.
Okay, Jocelyn, go ahead.
Okay, I like that. All right. I believe we all come into this world with certain gifts and talents, if you will. Not everybody's good at the same stuff. Like, I agree with Dave on some level in that certain people are going to do certain, things just need to be done in this world. Like, if I need a new roof, I'm not going to be climbing up there and putting it on. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just not a good situation.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to hire somebody or barter with whatever the case may be. Someone else is going to need to come and take care of that for me. Mm-hmm. You know, and then, you know, whatever my gifts are, my services to the world, you know, I can share those.
Even then, we could automate re-roofing. They already have a machine that can build houses. So you can build a 2-story house with plumbing and everything. Outlets already, the hole's in place for outlets, but in 24 to 48 hours with one person working the machine, and that's really just to push the buttons. I mean, let me give you an equation, Dave. So right now, unemployment, Jocelyn might actually know this better than me. Do you know what the current unemployment rate is? Is it like 2 or 3%?
Oh, I'm
something like that, right? Those single digits?
I mean, that sounds about right, I believe.
So let's say, you know, we're currently struggling right now at
5%.
At 5%. Okay, thank you.
In April, yeah.
So let's just say that as people demand more and more money, like you see these, great example is, the McDonald's workers who want $15 an hour. Mm-hmm. Which I always say, give them $20 an hour, cause you know what'll happen? The CEO who's in charge, or the controller, who's in charge of, the finances is gonna say, well, at $15 an hour, humans just become too expensive. They need toilets, they need lights, they need vacation, they need sick days. So you can already see the trends if you look up restaurants like Jack in the Box, or just Google automated restaurants. And what they'll do is they're going to start to introduce automation. So with these jobs, these lower level jobs that can be accomplished by easy automation, something like a McDonald's would be no problem to automate something like that. So what happens when, let's not even say 75%, what happens when 25, 30, 40% of jobs are now automated? there won't be enough circulation to maintain a monetary economy. An economy is really just the
exchange. Who's going to fix the machines?
Well, right now, see, that's kind of like a straw man argument, because right now, we can engineer things to last far longer with tighter tolerances with, computer aided designs, programs that we have in CNC machining. So it's not like, it's not like the 80s or the 70s. You build a machine, you have to repair it constantly.
Go ahead, Jocelyn.
Sorry, Jocelyn. I tend to disagree on that. I need a new cell phone all the time. I need
But
we recently had to get a new refrigerator, a car.
That's a facet of the monetary system, though. That's called planned obsolescence. That's another thing we can get into. There's a reason why. You ever heard?
Legitimately breaks. Like the refrigerator legitimately stopped working.
Right.
Yeah, things do happen though.
Once upon a time, they last for 60 years.
Oh, see, now that's a great point. I'm glad you said that, because they've realized over time that they need to keep money coming in. That's the simple rule of a business. You have to have cyclical consumption, and in order to maintain that, you have to have planned obsolescence. Every electronic that comes out right now is obsolete in 3 months. System.
But okay, quote obsolete. The reason that they're obsolete is because there's another, there's another design that's supposed to be better, or more apps and a new feature. It doesn't really make it obsolete. It's kind of just like a shinier, object. Ooh, iPhone 17. You can now teleport with it,
So that's called intrinsic obsolescence. There's two different things you're talking about. Planned obsolescence is when you have a transmission on a car that only lasts a given number of miles before it craps out. Intrinsic obsolescence is, check out the new iPhone, it's got rounded edges, you need this.
Yeah, but it's a catch-22, because if you design machines that last forever,
the economy stops.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, you have to be using super high quality materials, so it's gonna cost more to design these machines. It's probably it's gonna cost more. It's gonna be better materials, better engineering. So it's still gonna cost these companies a shitload of money.
If you neutralize the monetary system, then you won't have to worry about the cost of such things. The monetary system is just an artificial edifice for what we try to judge the value of other things. It's not even based on gold anymore, not since the 30s. I mean, we just kind of make it up. It's not a law. It's not a force of nature.
Yeah, I mean, did you have something, Jocelyn? Because I was about to go on a rant.
Dave's giving up.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that money is indeed a problem. It creates, a difference in status levels in society. Because if you have more money, it's somehow linked to being more important than others. That's just true. I mean, people, when a rich person walks into a room, they have this aura about them. People give them a certain amount of respect. When a homeless person walks into a room, usually nobody gives a shit, and they just look at them oh, that's just a bum. So, money is a problem, but in some ways I do feel it's necessary, because, when there wasn't money, what were we doing? What were we doing before? Was food a form of money?
No.
People would trade fur and they would trade food, and that was a form of that was a form of exchange, like a monetary type system. So if it's not money, it's always going to be something. It's going to be wood, it's going to be food, it's going to be fur.
I won't go on a long rant, but back in the day, it was things as simple as sticks. I know in what is modern day United Kingdom, they used to literally take a piece of wood, split it down the middle, carve some notches in. One piece of the wood would go to the king or in the castle, where they knew it was legitimate, and the other one they would put out into what they considered the economy, and that's what they would use for trading. But you have to remember that when you talk about this stuff, we don't live in a vacuum. So we have technology now that we didn't have then that could allow for automation and living without it, whereas before, it's called post-scarcity. So there's, this kind of, we're still kind of trained to think we live in a scarcity economy, and it's just not really true. It's kind of like an artificial scarcity that we just create for demand. But, this is more of post-scarcity.
Go ahead.
No, I won't go on too long about it, because I don't want to just keep dominating this, but you keep talking about it. But, post-scarcity meaning we can build as much as we want with automation, and we don't have to worry about starving to death. Obesity is a big killer in America, so. It's different times.
Full automation. I'm not going to go on a big rant, but full automation, I got to do some research on it. Not that I don't believe you, Don, but from my perspective, I don't think it's feasible right now. I just feel like it's not that I don't believe you. I just got to do my own research. I don't know if the technology is there from my point of view. Maybe you've done a shitload of research on it.
It's possible.
But going back to the whole monetary system, and Jocelyn, you could take the mic right now in a second if you have something, but I feel like if it's not green pieces of paper, you're always going to have something that is of value to another group of people. So like, let's say, I'm just going to think of something off the cuff. Let's say, you build cabins. Like this is how we live. We build like these wood structures and cabins, and one person lives in a section that you have oak. So it's like stronger wood, and another group of people live in a section that has pine, which is going to break apart, whatever. So right there, these people that are in the oak area are going to have something of value to the pine people, and they're going to use that against them on some level. You know, hey, you want this stronger wood? You know,
Unless we had automated houses being built, then that would neutralize the whole issue.
How though?
How? That's where you got to do the research, man. There's a lot. We already have machines that can print in cement, 3D print in cement, and build a house, like I said, 24 to 48 hours. If you have a 3D printing with polymers, you could literally just crank out as many as you want. And I mean, pretty much just have houses people could live in just like you would anything else, except without paying a mortgage. So if you, and I know it sounds crazy, but it's only crazy because
it does.
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of research behind it, but without going into all of that, it sounds far removed from what you would, consider to be normal, which then people would think is crazy, but.
I'm going to put you in the hot seat right now.
Yeah.
Jocelyn, what do you think about all that? What do you think about automation and what Don's saying?
I'm not feeling it.
Okay, why is that?
I get it, but I can't imagine it. I'm just not there.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I'm just being honest. Hopefully not ignorant, but just honest.
It is a pretty tough concept to grasp, I think, when you talk about stuff like that, especially when we've been indoctrinated since childhood. Right. What do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, well, we don't have the money today to get you bread to go to school, bread for lunches for school, sorry. Or, we can't pay the electric bill. So, I mean, money has always been there. It's always been in our lives. So when you get people up to a certain age, it's really hard to introduce these ideas, upon them because they've invested so heavily into this world,
I thought, what are people going to do?
Or whatever they want. What would you do? What would you do if you didn't have the restrictions of the monetary system and you're functioning in this world and you just want to go out and do something? Travel the world, learn to scuba dive, I mean.
But how are you gonna pay to do these things though if you don't have a job?
There wouldn't be.
I just want to help people.
So you could.
My purpose in life.
But you, we'll get to that 1 second, Jocelyn. I have to cut you off. Cause I'd like to hear about, I'd like to get into that,
How would you like to service people? Sorry, I do want to hear that. Curious.
Hold on 1 second. Going real quick with the automation thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll ever be full automation, dude, because some things you just need like a human touch to it, like farming.
Farming's almost entirely automated, dude.
Yeah, but
that's
almost,
like a terrible example.
You said it almost, but it will never be entirely because you still need somebody overlooking the machines, and shit goes wrong with machines all the time. Look at airplanes. Airplanes could basically fly themselves with GPS. Is there still a pilot in there just in case? Of course, because machines they're predictable to an extent, they're always going to fail or like glitch and go haywire, but, go ahead, Jocelyn. How do you want to service the world and help people?
Oh Lord. I have so many things I want to do. Like my friend thinks I have like no follow through. That's I just have like a billion things I want to accomplish. So in Don's world, one of my things isn't applicable. I truly want to free people from like the financial pain. It's so sad to me how people just like go to work and it's not enough. And I, like, over time, it truly just weighs on people. I was talking to someone yesterday who legitimately, like, over time is like their job less and less, and is legitimately at the point they, like, hate going to work. Like, hate it. Mm-hmm. And the only reason they still go to work, like, they don't feel they're quite in a position to retire is because of health insurance. Like, that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. That sucks. You know?
Yeah, or when somebody retires and, they don't have any coverage. You know, or they serve in the military and come back and have terrible coverage. I'm on board with you on that. Healthcare to me is a big, big problem.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on about that. I've had my own recent, battles as far as that goes. But, I mean, I truly believe that, like I said before, we all have, like, a purpose or passion or something, like a reason for being here. And that people really should share those gifts with the world. Everyone's gifts are different, you know?
I agree with you.
And I feel we live in a world where it's sort of...
That's muted.
...frowned upon to do that. You know, people are expected to go to some 9-to-5 job for 7 years. Mm-hmm. And have nothing to show for it. And, you know, I do, based on my own circumstances recently, like, the 9-to-5 thing is, like, awful in my opinion.
It's unless
somebody's doing something they're so passionate about, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. But if you're just
that's so rare though.
Going to work and going home, like, you're going to work to pay your bills, like, that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's by the way, that's what I termed debt slavery. And I didn't term that, that's somebody else that I took, but it's really, in my eyes, exactly the right, phrase.
Yeah. What's the quote? It's, work to live, don't live to work. Yeah. Whenever I encounter somebody that's so gung-ho about their job, like, I respect it, but,
I think that they're just misinformed.
Well, you know, not to shit on people, some people that's like all they have, you know, but it's mostly sad to me because I feel like there's so much more to life than like your shitty job, your 9-to-5, you know,
Also, that's your one life. You just want to spend it in an office? You know, as far as I know, there's nothing really, like, we don't get to come back and try again. Mm-hmm. And, right. You know, the statistical, probability of you being here is, I should say the other way around. The statistical probability of you not being here is so far and greater than you actually being here. If that makes sense. It's a quote I heard a long time ago, and I'm sure I'm mincing up the words, but basically it's very special, each and every person, to be alive, and it's something we shouldn't take for granted. And I think part of that is also not working in, you know, an office building or scrubbing toilets.
I'm gonna be completely honest, and if you follow me on social media, it's very apparent and clear.
I follow you.
I'm not gonna say I hate my job, but there are some days where I'm at work and I hate being there. If that makes any sense. And it's like, it's monotonous. I feel like, the 9-to-5 is soul sucking. Like, I'm a 9-to-5er. I may not work those hours, but I'm a 9-to-5er. And when I'm off, and I know a lot of people agree with this, like, they feel the same way. Why do you think you look forward to a day off? Because you're able to do what the fuck you want to do. Like, you're not a slave. No one's telling you what to do. You march to the beat of your own drum. You can follow your passions. Let's say you want to paint all day. You're happy. The whole day you're having fun, and you're so fucking happy painting. Because it's something, you know, that you're doing out of your own free will. It's, you know, it's creative. You know, how many people hate their job because they don't see anything coming from it? Like, it, you know, I feel like...
Or they're owned by it, you know, completely owned by it. They have to show up. There's no other option.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what's a killer too is, you know, going back to like the point that I just made, you know, doing something that you believe makes no difference in the world. Like, if I was a fireman, like, I would feel so much better about myself. Like, if I'm like running into...
Become a fireman. You can do it. You can be whatever you want to be.
True. You're right.
Come on, Dave.
You're right. But I don't think that's my path. My path is something else. This podcast is part of it, but...
Right.
You know...
But my point is you can do whatever it is that you want to do.
You can. You're right. But sometimes it is...
It's an excuse. Whatever's coming
No. it's not impossible, but this is also factual. Sometimes it is easier said than done. It's so easy to say, you know, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm just not going to go to work and I'm just gonna do whatever I want. But you have rent, you have a car payment, you have things that are affected by you not going to work. So it's not as easy to just kind of quit and restart. Some people have done it. People have done it.
It's always easier said than done. I'm coming to you live from the other side. It's been Saturday in my world since May.
That's pretty cool. Saturday's a good day.
Yeah.
I like Saturday.
Yeah. People look forward to Friday. I'm not a Friday kind of girl because Friday people still go to work. Saturday you don't go to work and usually you don't have to go to work the next day.
Yeah. So, Sunday's the Monday prep day. That doesn't count either.
Right. Yeah. So I've been living Saturday for however long it's been since the beginning of May. Mm-hmm. And it's enjoyable. I'm not going to lie. I can do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. Mm-hmm. I don't have someone telling me I need to be somewhere and do something for them.
Now, that's great. Do you agree with this though? That, with as much free time as you have, do you agree that people have to have a goal? Do you have to have something to strive and shoot for?
I think so.
You do. 100% you do. How do you feel about that, Don?
About having to have a goal?
Yes.
I don't think you have to have a goal.
I mean, I have to have a purpose.
I mean, and that's fine for you. I just don't think it necessarily applies to everybody. You know, I have to, if you're talking in terms of I have to become a businessman and make lots of money in that, but I do think people have passions. And when you're talking, to go back kind of, Dave, a bit, when you're talking about, somebody wanting to paint all day, that's what I'm an advocate for. That's what I want. I want people, I would love it if everybody could just pursue whatever they wanted to pursue, their heart's desires, without that pressure that you're talking about, which is, the car payments, the house payments, the electricity, the dog is sick, the kid is sick, the doctor's bills are high. So that's kind of how I view it. And if you say you have a purpose inside of that, then so be it. But, if somebody just wants to, like me, if I wanted to go, if right now, money wasn't an object, the first thing I would do, you probably would know this, is travel. I would just travel, because I feel that we're so limited by, having to work and having money and stuff like that. So we're not able to really achieve our purposes, I feel, as long as we live in what we do.
Yeah, some people are, but a little insight, and Jocelyn can take the mic right now. I'm just going to be short. A little insight into my brain and how I function, and some people may 100% agree with this. I have to have a goal. If I don't have a goal or something to shoot for, I am lost. I have to, whatever it is, and I'm constantly doing that to myself. I'm like, I gotta finish my 5th script. I have to deadlift 600 pounds. I have to have something that I'm working towards. You're
gonna deadlift 600 pounds?
Well,
I don't believe that at all.
I've passed 4 and I have it on video.
Oh yeah? Let Richard know as soon as you hit the 6.
Yeah, but Richard is deadlifting 600 4 times. I'm not on that level yet. But I have to have something to shoot for, man. If I can't go through life, I literally get depressed. If I wake up and I have nothing to do and I have no goal, I just feel so lost. I have to have something to work for, whether it's working on my body, writing, podcasting. Maybe I want to hit every state in the country, and visit every landmark.
Goals.
Huh?
That's one of my goals.
Hit every state in the country? That's pretty cool. Nice.
I've already been across most.
Don is pretty traveled.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. Not in I don't want to be a pretentious way, but I traveled a lot when I was younger. Very latchkey kind of, unruly, didn't really have any real parental supervision, so, and I joined the circus when I was younger, the circus of the racing industry, so, I traveled all over the U.S., and I will say it is fantastic to see everywhere. But, I'd love to travel internationally, personally.
I do that too.
I know the answer to this question, but,
Tahiti.
Okay. Moving on. I was going to say, what's the coolest place you've ever visited? But before you answer that, Jocelyn, did you have something?
No, it's okay. Good.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yes.
All right.
Double sure.
So Tahiti, Don, why did you love Tahiti so much?
To me, a lot of it was the culture. I mean, the place is beautiful on its own. It's hard to describe the beauty of such a place, because everybody describes beautiful, like, I saw this Mercedes, it was beautiful or whatever. But this was just pristinely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And when you travel, and I think we've covered this on the episode, so I'll try to keep it brief because I'm sure a million people have already heard this, but a million people, we wish. There's no billboards, there's no radio, there's no TVs, and the people rely on a very old school pre-Christian culture there still to this day. Which
no
is
Kardashians?
No. And they don't care what you look like, who you are, what you do, what you wear. I mean, we're still fighting in the States over men wearing women's clothes or whatever. Out there, they just don't care. They just don't care. And it's so refreshing. So yes, was it gorgeous? Absolutely. And it was also, honestly, it's like Pandora from Avatar, where nature just interacts with you. Everything is there. You can pull food out of the trees and pick it up off the ground. Nature provides. So people don't have to work out there. Which is refreshing. They have a certain type of freedom that everybody touts in the States, but I don't think ever really understands what true freedom is. These people, if you go there and you yell at them, they'll just quit their job because they don't need the job. They do it as kind of something to do and maybe to get some extra cash, but they're so family and friend and community focused out there. And too, also, like I said, nature just provides that it honestly, them, a job is just we do it, but it's nothing
So,
it sounds like my kind of place.
It's fantastic.
Family is the most important thing in my world.
Yeah, and that's all they care about, man. And if you go there, I'm telling you, if you go there and you just learn, and I know it's not easy, it's just saying you go there, because we had to save up forever to get money just to go out there because it's super expensive to get there. Mm-hmm. But you go there, you'll learn a little bit of the language, they will take you in. I mean, and you'll be just walking down the street and they'll be like, oh, Deata Tuhuru, they just come on in, eat food, Perfect.
That sounds awesome, but, maybe it's just me. I'm a weird guy. I wouldn't say antisocial. I love people and some days I hate people. I'm just keeping it real. Some days I just want to be alone.
In the States, it's different out there.
Well,
I mean, you can run around, honestly, out there, not to jump over you, but you can go hike a mountain on your own, you can go surfing, you can get in your pirogue, which is kind of like a little personal outrigger, go around, you can catch, fish out in the ocean. But then when you come back, there's always a support structure if you need it.
A big part of me enjoys solitude,
Oh yeah.
That's just me though. I don't, go ahead, Jocelyn.
I'm the same way. I'm such an intrinsic person. I'm so friendly to people and stuff. Mm-hmm. But if I'm out, I need time to myself. I need to regroup. That's how I reset is on my own.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And, it's not antisocial. It's just, that's the way that I'm wired. I'm not, I'm a friendly guy. Don knows me, we're friends and he knows me on an in-person level. And, I'm friendly to everybody. Don can attest to that. I interact with people, but overall, I'm kind of a loner. And, it's not antisocial. Some people will view it antisocial, but sometimes,
it's antisocial.
I can't deal with people all up on my shit every day. Neighbors coming over.
We love being on your shit.
Neighbors coming over every day, or I think it'll just drive me nuts. I can't deal with that. I'm friendly, but sometimes I just want to sit by the water by myself.
So for me, Tahiti was fantastic. It was awesome. I think you would love it, except the only thing is there's sunshine there, and I know you don't really like the sun, so.
I find so much enjoyment by sitting by myself on top of a hill, at night looking at the stars by myself. Or sitting by the water by myself. I'm so happy.
I think everybody can understand that. I think everybody at some point, during their day would appreciate that. I would imagine.
Some people will view it weird. I'm just being honest. But, I was going to ask Jocelyn a question. Bucket list for me, and it's a simple one, is to visit the Grand Canyon. I know tons of people have, but my thing is I want to go to the Grand Canyon and I want to camp out, out there at night and just look at the stars, like without light pollution, no city, no buildings around, just be out in nature for like 2 nights and just survive. Like, that's my dream, getaway. What about you, Jocelyn? Is there any place in the world you want to visit that you just see it through pictures or something? You're like, man, I want to be there.
Oh, there are so many places. I have to pick one.
Yes.
So, okay, I'm going to go on. So yesterday, actually, my son asked me, he said if Hillary, we're going into Panera and we're walking, he goes, Mom, where are we going to move if Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton become president? I said, huh? He goes, what country are we going to move to? Because we're not going to be able to live here anymore. And I was like, okay. I said, well, where do you want to go? He goes, Japan. And I was like, okay, why? And he was like, well, it's just the first thing that came to my mind. He goes, well, where would you want to go? And my response was Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
That's where one place I've always wanted to go and I've yet to.
You ever seen Arachnophobia? Apparently not.
Oh, stop.
I think the spider was from Costa Rica. I'm not sure. It was like this gnarly spider.
I don't know, man. I just recently took a trip to Costa Rica, Manuel Antonio Quepos, and it was pretty fantastic. Although I will say it is becoming pretty Americanized, but it's still awesome though, because like every time you come home, there's fucking monkeys running through your living room.
I would love that.
Awesome.
I mean, it would probably drive me crazy, but I'd love it at the same time.
Well, it's cool because it's cool and it's different, but like we came back at the house once and they actually busted through. So you also have locks on everything, by the way. Every door has a lock on it. And we had to literally like rope the fridge doors together and then through another lock to keep it closed. And, one day they went in and they opened up a couple of cabinets and there was like prescription medicine all over the place. There was like a picture that was pulled down off the wall and ripped in half and like the frame was smashed and flowers were knocked over. I mean, it was pretty intense, but they're fun. They're kind of scary, but man, there's so much jungle life out there.
Sounds pretty cool.
And it's pretty easy to get to.
I'm not down with spiders though.
If you ever go, Jocelyn, let me know and we'll point you in the right direction.
Okay. It's just one of the places, I don't know why, I just feel like it's a place I need to go.
Another one for me is, I want to go to Japan. I want to go to Tokyo, just because of like the technology, it's like New York, like I imagine like Madison Square Garden, like on crack.
Yeah.
Just, so many people, like you see videos and pictures and, shoulder to shoulder and so many cool gadgets over there. I never been there, but that's how it looks.
I kind of want to sleep in an igloo too, though.
That would be cool.
Nope. No thanks. Too cold.
I mean, just one time.
Yeah, maybe like one night and then like get a flight right back to Florida.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just want to experience it and then I want to be like, see you later.
Well, how about the ultimate? Would you guys be down with this if they make this affordable, commercial space flights?
Yes.
To like the moon.
Yep. Yep.
How cool would that be?
Jocelyn, how do you feel? Would you take a vacation up to the moon?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if I'm quite, I don't know.
I just want to see
what. Terrified. I'm not gonna lie. I would be terrified.
Yeah. I just want to see what the Earth looks like from up there.
Could you imagine?
Right. I mean, I'd be like curious, but terrified at the same time.
For me, the big curiosity has always been to feel what weightlessness or microgravity, I should say more accurately, feels like. Because there's so few people that have ever gotten to do that. I mean, you have a better chance of becoming a Navy SEAL than you do going into space. So
yeah.
For me, that was always an obsession when I was younger with space. And it still is to this day. I own telescopes and look at all the stars. And
yeah, because, a handful of countries, I say handful, but a handful of countries have the ability to go to space, so, and how many astronauts have been up there through the years, like compared to like the world population, it's like so few people, have been in space. And if you're like one of those special people that have the opportunity to see like the stars and like Earth from up there, that's incredible. So jealous of those people.
See the curvature of the Earth. Yeah, they say that there's a psychological term that I don't remember for when people go up there. because once the Earth is viewed from above, and I'm not going to do justice to this, but once it's viewed from above, there becomes an overreaching feeling of like togetherness. You know what I mean? You don't see national boundaries, from that height. You don't see wars. And, pretty much every astronaut that's gone to space has come back, almost
a different person.
Yeah, a different person mentally. The way they view world events and how everything happens than before they went up.
That's how see, not to go on an Uber rant, but that's how I feel even when I take a flight. When I'm like flying in the sky and I look down at like, the cities below, like we're so small. We're so minute. We're so tiny compared to the Earth. And it's like, it cracks me up. People have like so much self-importance, You're just another person. You're a little dot, in this big world.
Yeah.
What makes you special?
It's funny. Like I said, you don't see national boundaries at all. I think that can be a lot of source of, intolerance going back to the beginning of the episode from what you were talking about.
All right. We're getting kind of sappy now.
Yeah. Jocelyn, sorry, my throat decided not to work. Do you have anything you want to add before we, wrap this up?
No, I think I'm good.
And that's the end of the show. Thanks for joining us. Bye, guys.
No profound words for the listeners, Jocelyn. Nothing.
I don't know if I have profound words. Whoa. Well, I'll add something. When you touched on like the no borders thing, and again, this is kind of taking us back to the beginning of the podcast, but I think I'm very different than a lot of people, and I value all human life.
Amen.
Some people are like, oh, they value people who are like them more than anybody else. I mean, we're all human, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think every single person is important.
I agree.
So, like, I don't care if there are, what our national borders are. I think someone outside of our national borders is equally as important as, my neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are a lot of people out there who would disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay with being different on this one.
Before you jump in there, Dave, I will say I listened to a band called Enter Shikari, and one of the lines in their song, which is going to sound corny coming from me, is fear begins to vanish.
Yeah, it's corny. You're right.
Yeah, you're right. Fear begins to vanish when you realize that countries are just lines drawn in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just a great, like, when I hear that, it gives me goosebumps when he sings it. Obviously, I ain't giving anybody goosebumps tonight. But it's that same thing that we get into this nationalism, like, really fervently. A lot of our country and other countries too, we're not the only one. And you're just like, but there's no such thing. Like, it's just, everybody's life is important. I completely agree with you, Jocelyn. That's a good point.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess my closing statement is going back to what I talked about earlier, and I don't have all the answers. I'm just a dude. I'm a regular Joe, but just tolerance, man. I feel like just accept people, find the good in people, focus on the good. We all have bad. We're not perfect. We all have flaws. Stop setting up boundaries between, each other and focusing on the differences. We're really not different. We're like, everybody wants the same things, like at our core. And, if you had a bad experience, and I guess this may go into not necessarily just racism, just in general, if you have a bad experience with a person or somebody of a certain profession, let's say cops, police officers, don't generalize. Don't fall into that trap of like, hating or not liking a group of people, because of one bad experience with one person. So that's all I want to say.
Except for people named Dave, all of them terrible.
Just have a little more patience. That's what you gotta do. Step back, breathe, have a little more patience.
And take it easy,
we'll be a little better off.
Even if somebody's irritating you, you're stuck in traffic, they cut you off. Just remember, it's not the end of the world. You're just, an ant in traffic jam. Just get home. You know, it's not the end of the world. You don't need to get out and fight with the other person or shoot them or ride their tail or.
Wait, I'm not supposed to do that?
Yeah. Well, you can, but the moral of the story is you're not supposed to, I guess.
Oh.
I don't know. When did we turn into Mr. Rogers, man? Shit.
No, I was gonna say that I fantasize about having a bazooka, like when I'm like.
But you wouldn't do it though. You fantasize, but it would be like cars without humans in them. Cause I think, honestly, Dave, I know you. In the instant you wipe somebody clean off this earth, I think you'd feel terrible.
Yeah.
Despite all your Punisher obsessions. But,
Punisher, the Marvel character. Let's not make it sound all freaky. Punisher, like, people think I have like a gimp mask or.
What is it? Is it BDSM or whatever? What's the stuff where they like?
You tell me, buddy. I don't know. You know all the terms and acronyms.
Okay, everybody needs a hobby, dude. There's gonna be some closing statements here. I'm just gonna remember them now. I'm joking. Follow us. Here we go. You guys ready? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Funny Blunt Truth. Find us there, like us, interact, funnybluntruthpodcast@gmail.com. If you find anything terrible or fantastic, if it's terrible, address Dave specifically. If it's fantastic, it can be to the two of us, that's fine, but basically he's to blame. What's the other thing? iTunes. Rate, subscribe, like us, leave a comment. You know, we grow because of you guys. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. This is episode 34, right? Did we all get up to 34 now?
Sure. Yeah,
there?
34.
Jeez, man. I thought we were
and let's thank Jocelyn for being back on the show.
Yeah. Thanks, Jocelyn.
It was awesome having you on.
Thank you for having me.
You're the best. We do appreciate you being on, all jokes aside. But for Jocelyn, Dave, and myself, Don, this has been episode 34 of Funny Blunt Truth. We'll see you on the next one.